All right, today we're going to work on Module 2, Section 6, Solving Systems of Inequalities. And so this is the first section where we're not solving systems of equations. And we had all these different ways we said we could solve systems of equations. We said we could do it by graphing, we said we could do it by substitution, and we said we could do it by elimination. For solving systems of inequalities, because they're going to have shaded regions, just graphing is going to apply to us here. Right? And so all of this information kind of explains it. I'll let it sit on your screen here as I review some of the keys to graphing inequalities. Remember that you need to figure out whether it's a solid or dashed line. And so if it's just greater than or less than, then you're going to put a dashed. If it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you're going to put a solid. And then you got to figure out where to shade. All right. And so I always say if it's y greater than, which also means y greater than or equal to, you shade above. All right. Kind of around our room there, sorry. Y less than or y less than or equal to, you shade below. All right, so it's a matter of where you shade. Is the line solid or dashed? Now, if you graph it all, notice for this one, they shaded below here. They shaded below here. So in this area right here, they were both going to be, both answers match over. So that is the real answer here. Here you have three lines, all right? For the one line here, we shaded below, all right? For this line, we shaded below. For this line, we shaded above. And so this area right here is the only area where they all shaded. And so let's just look at this now. So I'll talk about this one using red, and I'll talk about the next one using green. All right. So let's talk about first one. What do I know about the first equation? Well, I know right now it's just a greater than sign. So I know right now is dashed. It's y is greater, so I know shade above. And I know m is the number in front of x, so it's 1x, so it's 1 over 1. And b, it's at the end there, so it's negative 1. So I start at negative 1, right about there. I go up 1 over 1, which this graph isn't greatly to scale here, up 1 over 1, right? And I'm going to make my dashed line. I'm going to come back and do all the shading at the end, but just so I don't forget, out here on the end, I'm going to put a little arrow letting myself remember that I'm going to shade above. Now, for the one I want to do in green, I know again, it's dashed. There is no or equal to. Again, it's y equal or y is greater than, so it's above, shaded above. The m is the number in front of x, so the m is negative 2 over 1. And then there is nothing out here at the end, so it's the b is just 0. So I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Same as going back to up 1. Right? And I'm going to, let me make sure it's green. Put a dashed line in there. And I'm going to shade above, so it's that way. Right? And so this one, it gets shaded all here. This one gets shaded all here, but it's right in here where they're both shaded together. So that's the part I need to make a little bit darker on my homework. Some people will only shade that part in. If you're really that clever, go for it. But that part right there is my answer. It's where they're both shaded. Let's look at another one. Now, again, I'm going to do the top one in red. I'll do the second one in green. And so the first one in red here, I know it's a solid line. And I know you shade below. It's got the or equal to, and it's y less than. The m, it's 4x, so it's 4 over 1. And the b is negative 3. And so down 3, up 4, over 1, right about there. Right, up 4, over 1, right about there. Solid line. Shade below. And again, I'm going to do all my shading at the end. So I'm going to do it, let's just mark it. All right. For the green one, I need to get it to y equals. And so I have to divide both sides by -2. And so I got to go from -2 y is greater than x. I got to divide both sides by -2. And so it really becomes y. I flip the sign because I divided by a negative. And I get -1/2 x. And so I know a couple things. I know that it's dashed. I know that it's shaded below. I know that the m is -1/2 and the b is 0. And so I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to go down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. Or back 1, back 2. Right? I'm going to try to draw that in. Oops. Made a mistake. I need it to be a dashed line. Shaded below. So this one gets shaded here. The red one gets shaded here. And so over in this bottom right corner, that's where they're both shaded. And so that one I make darker. That one is my answer, where they're both shaded. Let's look at one more example. Now we have 3 lines. All right. And so the first one, let's graph in red again. All right. And so it's going to be a dashed line shaded below. It's going to start at +5, go down 4, over 3, down 1, 2, 3, 4, over 3. All right. And we said it was going to be a dashed line. And we know we're going to shade below. Let's look at the next one. We're doing green right here. All right. And there the y-intercept is -2. And it's going to go up 1 over 1, 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 down 1, back 1. It's a solid line. Shaded above. And then the last one here I want to do in yellow. It's just x equals 1. X equals 1 is this vertical line. Now it should be dashed, so I'm going to make it dashed. And now when it's just a vertical line, I only worry about right and left. This one's shaded on the right. And so the area where they're all shaded, if this one's shaded to the right, So I'm shading to the right here, above here, and below this one. The only area where they're all shaded is this little triangle right here. So that is the area I need to worry about. So for me, I'm just going to shade in that area where they're all shaded. Because the whole thing's shaded, but that's the only area where just they all three shade. All right, tonight's homework is going to be on page 117. Again, here on page 117. Oh, let me switch to color. You can see we're going to do numbers 3, 4, 5, and 8. And in case I didn't make it clear enough during the entire video, please graph and shade carefully. Best of luck to you. Let me know if you have questions.